midnight haze, chasing shadows in the darkest maze. Footsteps echo in the empty hall, mysteries waiting on our call. Bigfoot stomping through the pines, aliens sending secret signs, EVPs in the dead of night, ghosts dancing in the pale moonlight. Paranormal for what we bring it to you, truth behind the veil, gotta pursue you.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode.
It's Thursday.
Rainy.
It has been raining. I'm ready for this rain to end.
Yeah, it was pretty this morning.
Ready for it to go.
Then it rained about
3:30 or so. It started.
somewhere in there.
Yeah. Came a deluge. Wasn't just raining, it was pouring.
Hope everybody is doing all right today. I guess I am. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Yeah. I mean, it's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday.
Woo woo.
It's Jason's wife's birthday today.
Oh yeah. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Christina.
Hope you had a good one. So tonight we're going to be talking about the third man factor. You know, that thing that comes to you when you're about to kick the bucket.
Hey, Roger. I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah.
You've been getting a lot of storms and stuff down that way too, haven't you?
So, like I said, we're going to be talking about the third man factor or third person syndrome. It's called a few different things. So, just imagine yourself in the most terrifying situation possible. Perhaps you're lost in an empty wilderness or clinging to a piece of wreckage after a stormy ocean wreck. You're alone and you're convinced.
It don't look like he's got it on Rumble.
I forgot to put it up on Rumble.
No Rumble tonight.
Now I done lost what I was doing.
Clinging to a piece of wreckage on the stormy ocean.
So suddenly in that moment of ultimate despair and isolation, you get an incredible, strong, undeniable feeling that someone else is right there with you. You can't physically see them. You can't touch them or hear their footsteps, but the sense of their presence is so real and vivid that it almost feels tangible. So this is profound and mysterious.
What's up, Lawana?
So this is a profound and mysterious phenomena, and it's what people commonly refer to as the third man syndrome or the third man factor.
Yeah. What's cool about this is that I'd never really heard about it until until we was starting to figure out what we was going to do the show on. And Jason's like, hey, let's do it on this third man factor. And I'm like, what the heck is that? What is that? And, but as we started going through the research, I was like, this would make a pretty intriguing show.
Yeah. Makes you think.
Yeah.
So, this isn't just a thought or a hopeful wish. It's a deep, persuasive awareness of an additional entity that is accompanying you. Its nature is almost universally described as benevolent, supportive, and comforting. It's not scary or threatening. It's quite opposite. The invisible companion seems to appear specifically to offer solace and reassurance, calming your racing heart, cutting through your overwhelming fear and despair. It feels like a silent guardian or a compassionate ally that has materialized out of nowhere, alleviating the crushing burden of being utterly alone in a desperate fight for survival.
Yeah, and as we go along, you'll kind of realize that that's when this factor really kicks in, is when you're almost at your end, about ready to give up, and this third person or second person, if it's just you, if you're alone at the time, but this other thing comes and is reassuring and usually helps people get out of their situation, out of danger, and find help.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat. The experience is often so powerful that survivors describe it as a profound shift in their perception of reality. Now, the crushing weight of isolation suddenly lifts, and it's replaced by an inexplicable sense of companionship. Now, this isn't just a psychological trick that makes you feel less alone. It genuinely feels like a distinct, sentient entity that has joined your ordeal. Now, the reality of this unseen presence is so convincing for those who experience it that they often emerge from their ordeal with an unwavering conviction that they truly were helped by something beyond ordinary understanding. And we've got 8 cases that we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. Now, the third man seems to appear precisely when an individual is pushed to their absolute limits, physically, mentally, and emotionally. It's when the body is exhausted, the mind is reeling from stress, and the spirit is on the verge of breaking, that this phenomena tends to manifest. Now, it acts as a lifeline, providing a psychological anchor in the storm. It prevents the individual from succumbing to the overwhelming sense of hopelessness that often accompanies extreme survival situations. So, at its core, the third man is a unique and often life-saving experience. It's where a person under unimaginable duress senses the presence of an unseen, benevolent companion. Now, this presence feels incredibly real, and it provides immense comfort and fundamentally alters the survival's mental state, which helps them preserve themselves throughout the situation that would otherwise seem impossible to overcome alone. So it is pretty mysterious that the mind's ability to find extraordinary ways to survive.
Yeah. The mind is, we don't know a lot about it, do we?
No.
Can do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Can make you see things.
Especially if you take hallucinogens.
Yeah.
But they've shown where just being deprived of light, sound, and things like that can also make you start hallucinating. Wow. Thank you, Only Oscars, for going through all that, though.
Yeah. I wonder why.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you didn't get a alert or anything? Have to look into that.
So you're just joining us. We're talking about the third man factor.
Yes.
So what does this invisible person do, or this entity? What does it do? It's more than just a presence, I think. It actively intervenes to help the individual survive.
Yep.
It provides crucial psychological and sometimes even seemingly physical aid.
Right.
Excuse me. Its role is deeply supportive and guiding, directly counteracting the effects of fear, despair, and isolation that typically accompany life-threatening situations. The assistance offered by this unseen companion is most always benevolent and seems tailored to the immediate needs of the person in distress. and it acts as a crucial
Oh
resource
no.
when all other help is beyond reach. Hit the
The question mark on accident on
Oh.
the but they said that no notifications on their feed. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe got to subscribe again
I
or
have 4 entity friends that watches out for me. Talk to them. Wow.
Wow.
Hey, Andrea. I hope Daryl's doing okay.
So one of the most primary functions is to provide profound emotional support. Individuals are often overwhelmed by panic, anxiety, and crushing sense of loneliness. So this third man brings a sense of peace and reassurance, settling the racing mind and replacing terror with a surprising clarity of thought. And this calming influence allows the survivor to maintain composure and think more rationally, making better decisions. It transforms a chaotic, terrifying struggle into a more focused, manageable challenge. So, beyond emotional comfort, the third man frequently offers direct guidance and practical advice. A lot of survivors often report hearing a clear voice, whether it sounds like their own internal voice, but with an authority, or a distinct external voice giving precise instructions. So, this guidance can range from simple words of encouragement like keep moving, or don't give up, to highly specific tactical advice, such as which direction to take, how to conserve energy, or even warning of unseen dangers like crevices over thin ice. These perceived directives are often credited with saving lives, making the third man a vital source of practical wisdom in your dire moments.
Now, this unseen presence is often it instills an extraordinary surge of determination and renewed willpower. When the body is utterly exhausted and the spirit is on the verge of breaking, the third man provides the emotional fuel necessary to push beyond perceived limits. So it's like having an invisible coach or cheerleader who relentlessly urges you onward.
Go, go,
Go,
go.
go. Instilling a fierce resolve to survive. Now, this renewed sense of purpose is not just a fleeting emotion, but a sustained drive that enables individuals to endure physical pain, mental anguish, and far beyond what they believe themselves capable of,
What's up, Roy?
preventing them from succumbing to despair. And that's what happens to a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Everything will work out. See, only Oscars hears that a lot. So you know about the third man syndrome then.
Might be your guardian angel.
That's what some think, right?
Yeah.
Guardian angel, loved one, parent that's dead or something like that. In some remarkable accounts, survivors even perceive physical assistance. Despite no one being visibly present, this can manifest as a feeling of a gentle push on the back when climbing, a guiding hand on the shoulder, or a sensation of someone helping to share a physical burden. Now, while these sensations are likely products of the mind under extreme stress, they do feel incredibly real to the individual and further reinforce the active, benevolent role of the third man. Now, this is perceived as physical aid combined with the emotional and cognitive guidance, which creates a holistic support system that empowers the individual to persevere through the most insurmountable challenges. And Michelle, that's what of it. Some people say too. A lot of people on the scientific side of it say that it's just your own mind pushing you through where you don't think that you can make it. Hello, Kelly. Doing good. How are you?
So I think we've talked about when this happens. It's almost exclusively triggered by life-threatening stress and extreme duress, and it pushes individuals to the absolute brink of human endurance. These are not everyday challenges, but scenarios where survival is genuinely uncertain and the stakes are literally life-threatening. And it's if it's
The Oscar says, if it's me, I've been giving out bad advice. Kelly says, I'm good. Thank you.
So common contexts where the third man appears involve extreme isolation and exposure to hostile environments. Think of solo adventures on vast polar expeditions, mountaineers stranded on treacherous high altitude peaks, or sailors adrift in the unforgiving open ocean after a shipwreck. In these situations, the body is subject to intense physiological stress, such as cold, dehydration, starvation, sleep deprivation, and extreme fatigue.
Well, that's a lot.
Yeah. So the brain, under such pressure, begins to function in an altered state.
You almost said the F word, Jason.
I did say the F word. I said function, setting the stage for this phenomena. So it starts out with the brain.
Yes.
But your brain may be calling your guardian angel. What if that happens?
Oh, no.
So, therefore, understanding the third man syndromes necessitates recognizing the extreme crucible in which it manifests. It is a powerful demonstration of the human mind and its capacity for resilience and adaptation when confronted with the ultimate challenge of life or death. And it suggests that under specific conditions of stress and the human psyche possesses an inherent ability to generate supportive external presences acting as crucial internal resources to navigate and overcome the most precious or perilous situations, ultimately increasing the chance of survival against overwhelming odds. And these few ones that we're going to talk about, these people have survived, and this is their story that they've told about what happened.
Yeah.
And some of them's pretty interesting. I don't think it's just the mind doing tricks.
Yeah. I think I don't know. It's something, it's interesting is what I'll say, because, one of the people that we're going to talk about, we have 8 examples. So some books were written, and we'll get to that when we get past these 8 examples. But a book was written, and they had over 200 examples of this phenomena that we're talking about tonight. Now, these are 8 that we're taking out of that book itself, and it's pretty interesting because this first one that we've got is Ernest Shackleton and his Antarctic expedition in 1916. So, kind of some background of what happened. Their ship actually got caught up in the ice. And after it was there for a while, the ice pack just kept growing and growing and growing, and it finally just crushed their ship. So, Ernest Shackleton and 2 companions, Tom Crean and Frank Worsley, embarked on a desperate 36-hour march across uncharted glaciers and mountains of South Georgia Island. Now, they were exhausted from frostbite and facing hypothermia. They carried only rudimentary equipment, a rope, some screws from their lifeboat driven through their boots for traction, So throughout the trek, all three men independently sensed a divine companion that was guiding them. Now, Shackleton himself described it as an incorporeal fourth presence, writing, "It seemed to me often that there were four, not three." Worsley later confirmed, "I had the subconscious feeling that there were four of us," while Crean privately admitted the same to friends. Now, none of these men spoke it during the ordeal, fearing it signaled delirium. The presence provided directional intuition. It steered them away from crevices, and it also gave them the emotional fortitude amid blizzards. And so, interpretations of this, Shackleton himself framed it as a divine providence. Now, other people, like biographer Roland Hunford, attribute it to dehydration, which induced hallucinations. Modern neurologists suggest extreme stress trigger, which is a dysfunction which manifests a felt presence. Now, the trio reached Stromness Whaling Station, enabled the rescue of all 22 crewmen left on the Elephant Island. So they had got to Elephant Island. These three men left Elephant Island, leaving the rest of their crew there. And they was actually able to go back, rescue those other 22 crewmen, and they didn't lose a single life during that whole thing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So Shackleton's account in 1919 popularized the phenomena, which inspired T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland in 1922, in which he coined the term third man.
Thought they said it was a native who found them. I don't think so.
No, they said when they got to the island was uninhabited. And so they took one of the lifeboats, and the three men did, and they went through blizzards and all kinds of other stuff to be able to get to Elephant Island. Then when they got to Elephant Island, they had to march all the way across it to get to where that station was.
Yeah.
To actually get the rescue. So I don't know. I read the full account of it, and I didn't want to put the full account because, man, we probably would have had only time for maybe one or two. So I had to kind of condense it down quite a bit because it was a very long story.
Yeah.
Very long story. When I was showing it to Jason, when we was doing it, Jason was like, that might be too long. So
another example was Ron DeFrancisco. Now he is a 9/11 Trade Center survivor. So on September 11th, 2001, he was on the 84th floor of the South Tower when United Flight 175 struck. Trapped in smoke and debris, he attempted to descend but collapsed near the 81st floor. He was overcome by toxic fumes and despair. So a commanding male voice, distinct from human rescuers, shouted, "Get up," and called him by name. So DeFrancisco, and that's a hard name to pronounce.
DeFrancisco.
DeFrancisco. He felt an invisible hand physically lift him up and steer him toward a stairwell. He said, "I was led to the stairs. I was definitely led." He recounted that, and the presence radiated calm, countering his panic with reassurance. "You can do this. You can do it.
You can do it."
So he was the last person to escape above the impact zone before the tower collapsed too.
That's crazy.
Now, DeFrancisco insisted it was an angel. Scientists propose auditory hallucinations from temporal lobe activation under duress. I think it was swamp gas.
That makes more sense to me.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, it was a sad day.
Yes, very.
John Geiger notes such experiences often involve tactile sensations, blurring neurological and spiritual explanations. So he survived with burns and lung damage. His testimony became pivotal in Geiger's The Third Man Factor, illustrating the syndrome's role in modern disasters.
Yep. Crazy.
Yeah.
So the next one is Joe Simpson. Now, this guy was a Andes mountaineer in 1985. How many people remember 1985?
I do.
I do.
That's when Back to the Future came out.
So during a descent of Peru's Silua Grande, Simpson shattered his leg in a fall, was lowered into a crevice by his partner, Simon Yates, and presumed dead. That would be terrible.
It would be. Oh, he's gone. Let's go. Let's get out of here.
Let's go. You can't make it back anyway. Stranded without food or water, he faced a 5-day crawl across glaciers to base camp. 5 days.
Crawl.
Yeah, crawling. So he says that an authoritative voice countered his despair with directives like, don't stop now, go left. He said that it navigated him through the ice fields and crevices, once urging him to sip putrid water to avoid dehydration. Now, Simpson described it as an external intelligence overriding his logical mind. He said, it wasn't my voice. It was very impatient, almost scornful. So Simpson rejected supernatural claims aligning with psychologist Julian Jaynes' bicameral mind theory. And it states that stress splits the consciousness into a speaker or right brain and listener left brain. Says that hypoxia and pain likely exacerbated this. Now, his survival is documented in Touching the Void in 1988.
Touching the Void.
Yep. Which is pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah.
How'd you like that? To be just lowered down. Break your leg, be lowered down. He's dead.
Yeah. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. That'd be something. 5 days to crawl across glaciers.
Yeah, I wonder if he army crawled it.
I'm sure he did. Broken leg.
A lot of these stories are in the mountains from explorers and hikers that want to conquer something.
Right.
That's unconquerable.
Andrea says her inner voice always sounds like other people.
Maybe it ain't your inner voice.
It's something else.
It might be your left brain.
Right brain.
Or right brain, yeah.
Right brain talking to your left brain.
So we got another one, Frank Smith. Now, this was a Mount Everest summit attempt in 1933. So after his team turned back due to storms and oxygen.
Oh my gosh.
Oxygen deprivation at 27,000 feet, Smith continued solo towards Everest's summit, a near suicidal effort in 1933 climbing conditions. So Smith sensed an unseen companion so vividly that he offered it Kindle mint cake. He said, I had the strong feeling that I was accompanied by a second person. The presence alleviated isolation and provided psychological resilience. Though it vanished when he turned to look at 28,000 feet, just 1,000 feet short of the summit. He accepted defeat, but credited the presence for his mental endurance.
Wow.
So a lot of scientists attribute this to hypoxia and sensory deprivation in whiteout conditions. Smith later mused it might be the spirit of a deceased climber, reflecting mountaineering lore's blend of science and mysticism.
I
So
can see that.
his diary entry became a foundational account in exploration psychology, and it's cited in studies on high altitude hallucinations.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
My inner voice always sounds like me. What's up, Randy?
What's up, Randy?
It talks all the time.
Hope you're doing better.
Uh-oh. So this next one is James, and I'm not even trying to say his last name.
Savigny.
Something. He's an avalanche survivor from the Canadian Rockies.
Right.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
Only
you
Oscar
said-
just like, hey,
You could've
don't go
told me-
no further.
You
You
could
might
have
break
told me
your leg.
earlier.
Yeah.
Stupid right brain.
So in 1982, James and a climbing partner, Richard Whitmere, were buried under an avalanche near Lake Louise, Alberta. Now, Whitmere died instantly.
Hmm.
Sevney woke with a broken back, internal bleeding, and torn ligaments. Ouch. That sounds like not fun.
No.
Now, as Sevney prepared to die, there was a physical presence manifested behind his right shoulder. He said it mentally urged, "You can't give up," and dispensed survival advice. Follow the blood dripping from your nose like an arrow. The presence guided his 6-hour crawl. Its proximity palpable during agonizing moments. Upon reaching base camp, he felt profound loneliness when it vanished.
Hmm.
Now, he viewed it as a transcendent guardian. Isn't it funny how, depending on like your view of the world and stuff, how different people see these things?
Yeah.
Now, neurologist Olaf Blank, his experiments link such felt presences to TPJ disruptions during trauma. So a hardwired copying mechanism. So this rescuer airlifted him to safety. He recovered after months of rehabilitation. And again, another one for the books. Another one that has the third man syndrome. But isn't that pretty cool?
Yeah.
Perspectives, yes, can change everything. Absolutely. And, you know, everybody has their own perspectives and their own way of seeing the world and everything in it. And so if it is your own brain, it would know exactly what to say to keep pushing you. But if it is something external, it shows that it knows you enough to know what buttons to push to keep you going.
Yeah.
Pretty neat.
So this next one is Reinhold Messner. And this happened in the Nagna Parbat expedition in 1970. So after summiting Nagna Parbat with his brother Gunther, Reinhold faced a catastrophic descent. Gunther, debilitated by altitude sickness, vanished in an ice fall. Exhausted and grieving, Messner navigated alone through the blizzard. So Messner also sensed a third climber descending beside him, just out of his field of vision, though it was invisible. Its proximity felt tangible, and he could sense its presence. He needed no proof because it provided navigational certainty through whiteout conditions, reducing his panic. So Messner was a skeptic and rejected the supernatural theories, calling it a natural brain response to invent survival when reality offers none. So Geiger links this to evolutionary psychology. The mind conjures companionship to prevent fatal resignation.
Okay. Well, there's some doctors and stuff that believe the same thing. Again, we go right back to it, perspective. That's what he told himself because that's what he believed,
Oh,
right?
man. This next one is the one I love so much.
Go ahead.
No, you do it.
Do it.
I want you to do it. I want to listen.
Oh, I got you. So, Aaron Railston. So, this accident happened in 2003. I remember when this happened because if I'm not mistaken, after all this happened, he went on like Oprah and all kinds of different daytime talk shows and stuff. He was pinned by an 800-pound boulder in Utah's Blue John Canyon. Now, after 6 days of dehydration, hypothermia, and failed escape attempts, he recorded a farewell message for his family. Now, he was hallucinating, and Ralston says that he saw a vision of himself playing with a future son. It was a boy, of course, a son, and he was missing his right arm. Now, this epiphany ignited a resolve to amputate his crushed forearm with a dull multi-tool. He said, "It was the best idea I will ever have." Describing euphoria, not horror, the vision's timing provided crucial. Rescuers found him just 30 minutes before blood loss would have killed him.
Now that's amazing.
Yeah. Psychologists framed this as a stress-induced dissociative state where the brain projects future selves to override immediate suffering. But now Ralston himself views it as a spiritual intervention. He says that his survival actually inspired the film 127 Hours, and that was based on what happened to him. The case broadened third man syndrome to include premonitory visions, so premonitions, and not just auditory or tactile presences. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a real good story right there.
It makes you wonder about some things. And the way I think about some of those things is that, what if it is our brain and it fearing death can sometimes reach into the future to do things, to tell us, hey, this is the future. You just got to do this, get through this to get to this future. I mean, we already know that people can remote view and see all kinds of things in the past, present, future. So why would that be out of the realm,
Right. Could have
just
been
something that was tapped into and just didn't realize it. The brain wanting its own survival. Yes, I think that. Only Oscars. Life is too precious to lose. Maybe these people had something that they needed to do.
It's like a lot of near-death experiences when,
it's not your time.
It's not your time. Something says it's not your time.
Go back. Yep. Or they're always
finished.
Or they're always given a choice. You can stay here, but it's not really your time. Yeah.
So this next story is of Vincent Lamb. This is not a physical ordeal that he had. Lamb's crisis was psychological. Overwhelmed by studying for a medical entrance exam, he collapsed during a panic attack, doubting his career path. So a guardian angel appeared, visually indistinct but radiating calm, and advised, "Your purpose is healing, not perfection." So it anchored him during I can't say that word. Dissociation, guiding his focus back to study materials. So the presence faded once his breathing steadied. So Lamb, a physician, acknowledged stress triggered disassociation, but also embraced spiritual symbolism. Therapists now use cultivated inner characters to help patients self-soothe, validating such experiences as cognitive resources. So Lamb regained clarity, entered medical school, and later won literary awards, and his case illustrates the syndrome's adaptability to non-physical crises. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think, what Geiger's research and everything, there's patterns and insights that he says. He goes extreme stress, right? So isolation, imminent death consistently precedes the phenomena. Mountaineers 32%, disaster survivals 29%, and they report the highest incidences. Isn't that crazy? There's 45% auditory, 30% tactile or physical guidance, and 25% of the time it's visual. So they actually see figures.
Yeah.
Now, the presence often delivers actionable advice, distinguishing it from chaotic hallucinations. So from scientific side of it, neurologist Olaf Blake introduced felt presences by disrupting TPJ activity with robotics, which confirms the brain can generate externalized self-images under sensory deprivation. Which there's been tons of studies on that kind of things.
Yeah.
Sensory deprivation does all kinds of stuff. That's why that's something that's used on prisoners of war and stuff like that. They'll put them in black rooms and blare music, or just do different things to kill their senses. So now similar phenomena do appear globally. Shadow companions, Himalayan mountain deities, which suggests a cross-cultural survival instinct. Now, John Geiger, he actually said, whether it's neurons or angels, the third man reveals a profound truth that humans are hardwired to hope when reality offers none.
That's good.
Yep. John Geiger. And that's from a book, The Third Man Factor, that we took, those 8 accounts from. Only Oscar says her hubby had an NDE. Wow.
I had an OBE, maybe an NDE. I don't know. Could be either or.
I'd like to have
It wasn't no fun.
Out-of-body experience. Yes.
So in modern times, the third man continues to be reported by contemporary adventurers, athletes, military personnel, and it confirms that it's not just a past thing. Figures like legendary mountaineer Reinhold Messner have openly spoke about feeling an unseen presence during his solo and near fatal descent, providing comfort and motivation in his extreme grief and exhaustion. So these ongoing accounts reinforce the reality and universality of the third man syndrome. as a profound and often life-saving aspect of the human experience in the face of, unimaginable consequences.
Right. So there's a lot of theories. One of the most widely accepted and scientifically explored explanations for the third man phenomenon is that it acts as a powerful psychological coping mechanism. So it's an incredible testament to the mind's capability for self-preservation in extreme situations. So when individuals are pushed to the absolute limits, facing overwhelming threats, profound isolation, and severe psychological deprivation, the human psyche activates deep-seated defense strategies to maintain its integrity. It also facilitates, boy, I couldn't say facilitates for a second, Jason. Facilitates survival. Now, the creation of an external benevolent presence is theorized to be one such ingenious mechanism. So they're saying it may be just created by your brain. Real or not real, it has helped me throughout my life. Right. Well, and the only Oscars, I think we, said it probably best just a little bit ago. Perception. It's however you perceive it is how it helps you. So, if you perceive it as an angel, then it's an angel. It's all in your perception.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what anybody else calls
it. Could be that little red demon with a pitchfork on one shoulder and
a little angel on the other.
And a little angel on the other one.
Yeah. It's throwing ice balls at you.
You can do it. You do it. Do it. Do it. No, don't do that, son.
Jump in the hole.
Jump in the hole.
Through my eyes, yes.
So in dire circumstances, the mind is under a lot of strain. Factors like sleep deprivation, dehydration, starvation, extreme coldness. Now that's another one. Mm-hmm. Lack of oxygen can significantly impair cognitive functions. So leading to confusion and disorientation. But the third man appears to counter all these debilitating effects by providing a psychological anchor, and it alleviates the crushing burden of loneliness and despair. It's as if the brain, in its desperate attempt to keep the individual going, projects its own adaptive capabilities outward, making an internal struggle feel like a shared journey with a supportive companion. So this coping mechanism serves several vital functions that are directly linked to survival. Firstly, it reduces the psychological impact of isolation, which can be as deadly as physical ailments. The perception of a benevolent companion provides immense comfort and emotional support, preventing the individual from succumbing to despair and giving up the fight.
No, we haven't talked about when time goes in slow motion, but that is a crazy thing. Have you ever had that? Something happened and it seems like everything slows down.
Yeah, I have.
Like you're falling and you're like, oh. It was a 5-minute, 2-second fall.
Yeah.
You was going to say something.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Sorry, Jason.
So it just helps the person not give up on life.
Right.
And yes. I think when people give up on life, it's over.
Well, especially in those kind of circumstances.
Yeah.
Because you're in a point where you're exhausted. We'll just take the one guy that was hanging for days by his forearm and ended up dehydration and everything and ended up cutting his dang arm off, right?
Yeah.
With a dull knife.
Yeah, there's always hope.
When you get to that point of despair, it's easy to just give up and then the body will give up.
Yeah, The
It's
mind,
done.
I'm just going to take this for example. If you've got a disease and you have given up on this and you're not fighting it no more, it's going to take over and it's going to get you. But your mind can heal your body.
Mhm.
If you put your mind to it, and meditation is the key, I believe, to this, but I think you can heal your own body. I've seen it happen. There was one guy that was on Coast to Coast a lot, and he had all kinds of heart problems and blood problems, and he would meditate and he healed himself eventually, but he was talking to Art Bell along the way.
Right.
And he was just getting, better and better. And I think self-healing is real. I think your mind, if you let your mind work the way it's supposed to, I believe it can heal you.
Mm-hmm. Why not?
What do you think?
No, I mean, why not? I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff like these guys way up in the Andes and stuff, these monks, and it's sub-zero outside, completely douse themselves with water, get into a meditative state, and literally within like 30 minutes, they raise their body temperature so much that they dry their clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Dry their clothes.
It's pretty crazy.
Well, I mean, it just shows that, like we said at the beginning of this, though, the human brain is something that we know really nothing about. They're trying, but we don't really know anything about it. And with that being said, I'm like you. I think that if you believe something enough, you won't hear me say this much because I don't really talk about the Bible or anything. But there's some truth in some of the words, and it literally says if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can tell the mountain to move, and it has to move.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that could mean anything that you interpret it to mean, right? So I think that whatever that mountain is in your life, you can tell it to move and it has to move. So if it's cancer, if it's whatever it is, it's faith.
Yeah.
You have to firmly believe in your mind that it's going to happen. Now you could put any context on that you want, because again, we go back to what only Oscars and stuff was saying earlier. That's your perception. So with your perception and your faith, whatever those look like in your life, if you have that faith, then you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's all able to be done. Sorry, I'll get off the soapbox. Preaching is over.
So this survival trick often acts as an externalized source of guidance and motivation when logical thought is impaired by exhaustion. The perceived instructions or encouragement from the unseen entity can provide concrete direction and a renewed sense of purpose. It allows the individual to tap into deep reserves of the strength and resilience that might otherwise remain dormant.
Roy gave us 2 thumbs up.
So essentially the mind projects its own adaptive solution and motivational imperatives onto an external figure, making it easier to accept.
Right.
So I don't know. Could be a bunch of things. I believe it's got a lot to do with your brain. No.
Yep, I do. And how you perceive life and everything else, right? And I think that it all comes in at the very end and tells you, wake up. We want you to live. You don't want to die. Let's do what we need to do. Now, I do find, though, parts of it where they were going across places and this external voice was guiding them to miss crevices and things like that. That almost shows a different view of everything too.
Yeah.
They're able to see whatever it is that's telling them to do these things, telling them to miss this crevice, to go here, to go there, to do whatever it is that they're doing, can see things outside of themselves. A
Mhm.
different spatial awareness to everything,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. It's hard to get there once a disease is present, but there's always hope. There is. There is. I think it's easy to talk about when it comes to you know, being able to say something and to bring it into fruition,
Yeah.
to manifest whatever it is that you're wanting to manifest, whether it's wealth, love, happiness, anything that it is that you're trying to manifest, good health. It's easy to talk about. It's harder to do because if everybody could do it, everybody would be doing it,
Mhm.
because it takes you to like Jason said, calm your mind, be able to get into that meditation state and see yourself as healed.
Breathe all the bad energy out and all the good
Breathe.
energy.
Oh,
And you might become one with
the couch.
yeah.
Can't stress enough how believing in hope will get you through. Absolutely. And there's survival stories of all kinds for that, you know, that just believing in hope and hoping for something else that it got them through. Tons of other stories besides, these type that we were talking about tonight.
Mm-hmm.
You got more?
So let's go over. We went over the scientific beliefs. It's all, neurological. So spiritual beliefs for many individuals who experience this, and for those who hear their compelling accounts, the most immediate and profound explanation is often spiritual or supernatural. Given the highly improbable nature of survival in many of these scenarios, coupled with the benevolent, guiding, and often life-saving nature of the perceived presence, it is deeply understandable. It's deeply understandable that survivors might attribute their experiences to divine intervention, the presence of guardian angels, or the spiritual guidance of a deceased loved one. So this interpretation resonates deeply with individuals who already hold spiritual or religious beliefs, providing a powerful affirmation of their faith.
Right.
So from a spiritual perspective, the third man is seen as a tangible manifestation of a higher power or a spiritual helper, sent specifically to aid the individual in their moment of greatest need. Roy says, if it's not your time, God will not let you die. And if it's your time, God will not let you live. It's that simple.
Cheryl says you have to align yourself.
Yeah.
Aligning yourself is also key.
The overwhelming feeling of comfort, the precise guidance, and the inexplicable strength often reported by survivors are viewed as direct evidence of a non-physical entity intervening directly with their worldly ordeal. For a person of faith, this explanation offers a sense of purpose and reinforces the idea that they are never truly alone, even when physically isolated, and that a divine plan or a protective force is actively at work in their lives. So the consistency of the benevolent nature of the third man across diverse accounts, regardless of the survivor's background or specific religious beliefs, can be seen by some as evidence of a universal spiritual truth. While the perceived identity of the entity might vary, could be an angel, a spirit guide, a deity, or simply just a presence. The core message of support, hope, and guidance remains constant. It suggests a common source of divine assistance in times of extreme vulnerability. So, this shared experience across cultures and belief systems further strengthens the spiritual interpretation for its proponents, highlighting a universal connection for a higher power.
Andrea says, I feel like it's harder to get into that mind frame. It takes a major trauma. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm spiritual by the explanation you just said. It's what only Oscar said.
I think everybody really has a little spirituality. They believe in, they got to believe in themselves a lot of times. What do you think people deep down have that?
I don't know, because
Everybody.
I don't know, because there is uncontacted tribes that in their tribal legends, lore, the whole 9 yards, have no deities at all. None, not one.
I don't know.
And so you can say that we think in the way that we think, right? That, oh, everybody's got this God part of the brain.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's been said, right? The
Mhm.
God part of the brain. But when you get to some of these uncontacted tribes that have no spirituality whatsoever, they just live their life. They're still hunter gatherers. They go do what it is that they do. They know that the earth provides, but there is literally no deities in their language or anything. So it it makes it hard to think that it's something that's just innate.
Yeah.
I think in the world we live in, right, where we live in places that's got the electricity, and we're indoctrinated into this
I
knowledge.
understand what you're saying. We have to be brought into it
Yeah.
to have it.
Yeah.
I do. I think you're right. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not saying that it's not true.
Yeah.
Either way,
but
I'm
you
just
have to
saying,
be introduced to it to
Yes.
know about it.
yes. Yeah. Now there's some natives and stuff that have a lot of spiritual beliefs. You know, they have all kinds of deities and all kinds of different things. But there is some that have none. And that has baffled scientists and stuff. Because, you know, the going theory for the longest time was the God part of the brain. It's just innate in us. We need it for survival.
I just wonder if those tribes that don't have anything like that, if they have the third person syndrome.
I don't know. Be interesting.
Would they have the will to, or the knowing part of it, that there is something else there, and it's going to help me?
Right.
I don't think they would.
I wouldn't think so. But that also doesn't mean that it has to come from us. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just had to throw that in.
Free will. Yep, Roy. That's correct.
Right. Free will.
So
They have a great respect for the earth. Exactly, on the Oscars. That's what, for them, it's just, you know, I respect the plants and the animals because they give me substance.
Yep.
That's it. So some would call that spirituality.
Yeah.
I guess.
So I believe that's our show. That's all we got.
I hope everybody liked it.
It was a little off, subjects, but
not really, because I mean, it's almost in that realm of OBEs and think, is there something else in your time of need that can come and help you?
Right.
Or is it just you? Is it your mind that's so powerful that it can see things that you can't see because you're in whatever situation that you're in? You know, I mean, so either way, I think it definitely falls into the paranormal. Oh, thank you, Andrea. Depth.
The depth.
Yes, the depth. It's so deep that it's depth.
So,
Depthfully deep.
Remember, everybody, this Saturday we have a guest.
Yes.
Elena.
Thank you, Michelle.
Elena. She's going to be on the show, and let me pull it up here.
Yes. We're pretty much booked out in one form or fashion of another for the next couple months.
Yeah. So Saturday we're going to have Elena. I don't know if it's Elena or Elena. We'll have to ask her that. So she's a quantum healer and life guide dedicated to helping individuals heal and navigate their current life paths.
See, does this not kind of go with that?
Yeah. So she's going to be joining us at 8:00 Saturday. That's Eastern time.
Everybody join us.
Yeah. Remember, July the 26th is the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference in Gatlinburg. We're going to be there. What do you think about that?
Can't wait.
Oh, also not this weekend, but next weekend on June 21st, we have a great guest going to come on. Paranormal Paul from Paranormal Among Us podcast. He does a lot of great shows, and we're going to be interviewing him, and we're going to get some of his experiences.
Yeah, because he does some ghost hunting.
Yeah.
So that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Paranormal investigator.
Yeah. You have a good night too, Andrea.
Have a good night, Andrea. Thank you very much. And tell Daryl that he better not have hurt himself.
Uh-oh. Yeah, tell me about it. So Dave's going to take us out with his spiel, I hope.
Well, you know what? I don't even have the spiel spilled. You know?
So remember, you can find us at...
Man.
You got it?
You know it, don't you? Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you Saturday.
Yeah, don't miss the show Saturday. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And remember, you can find us at paranormal411.org. Paranormal 411 on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. Tune in live every Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Also Saturdays from 8 to 10 p.m. Remember, also Saturdays from 10 to 11 if you're in the metro Atlanta area. You catch us on WDJY-FM. That's 99.1 FM. And for listeners outside of Atlanta, you go to WDJYFM.com, or you can go to paranormal411.org and click on the link. Now, we're also on Subspace Radio and all major podcast platforms. We have a book out, East Tennessee Hauntings and Lore Edition 2. It is East Tennessee Hauntings and Lore Edition 2. It is available on Amazon, or you go to paranormal411.org. Join us.
Join us. So, see all you guys.
Uh-oh, X-ray doesn't look good. Thank you, Only Oscars.
We're in X-ray.
Thank you, Only Oscars. Thanks, everybody.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Hopefully we'll see you Saturday.
Yes, see you Saturday.
Have you ever wondered what lurks in the shadows? What secrets the night hides? What strange phenomena might be happening just beyond your perception? Join us as we journey into the world of the paranormal, exploring everything from ghosts and UFOs to cryptids and unexplained occurrences. From haunted houses to all things paranormal, join us in the search for the truth behind the veil. Welcome to Paranormal 411.